There was a moment when everything changed. It did not happen with a bang or a global headline. It happened quietly, in pockets and purses, on subway platforms and dinner tables. It was the moment the smartphone stopped being a tool and became an extension of the self. In a single decade, it rewired human behavior so completely that it fundamentally altered what it means to be a person in the world. Before smartphones, boredom was a normal, healthy part of life. You waited for a bus, and you watched the street. You stood in line, and you observed the people around you. These moments of empty time were not wasted. They were the incubators for daydreams, creativity, and self-reflection. Today, those gaps have been eradicated. Every spare second is an opportunity to scroll, check, and consume. The average person now touches their phone over 2,600 times a day. The mind no longer wanders because it is never allowed to rest. As a result, attention spans did not just shrink. They were shattered. The idea of giving one thing your full, undivided attention now feels almost radical. Even conversations are fractured. People look at each other while their hands twitch toward their pockets, ready to grab the device the moment it buzzes. Eye contact has become a conscious effort, not a natural behavior. This rewiring bled into our memories, too. We stopped remembering phone numbers, addresses, and directions. Why would we? The device remembers everything. But this externalization of memory had a deeper, more insidious effect. Experiences became less about living and more about documenting. Concerts are viewed through screens held high above heads. Sunsets are captured for feeds instead of absorbed in silence. The brain, knowing the phone will save the moment, stops trying to save it itself. The result is a strange hollowness. You were there, but you were not present. Social behavior transformed almost overnight. The smartphone became the ultimate social shield. Awkward elevator rides disappeared behind glowing screens. Uncomfortable silences were filled with thumbs tapping glass. Strangers stopped talking to each other because they no longer had to. Every public space became a collection of individuals trapped in private, digital bubbles. The serendipity of spontaneous interaction declined because the phone offered a frictionless escape from social risk, and humanity took it in massive numbers. Dating and romance were completely rewritten. Meeting someone shifted from shared physical spaces and mutual friends to profiles, swipes, and matches. The entire process became gamified. Options became infinite, making commitment feel risky when the next option was always one swipe away. Ghosting replaced closure. The slow, beautiful build of getting to know someone in person was replaced by the instant, superficial judgment of a profile picture. And as our social lives fractured, our boundaries collapsed. Work and leisure bled into each other. The office moved into our pockets. Emails arrived at midnight. Slack messages buzzed during dinner. The human need for recovery was overridden by the toxic expectation of constant responsiveness. Sleep became one of the biggest casualties. Bedrooms turned into scrolling zones. People lay in bed for hours, consuming content designed to be endless, while blue light disrupted their circadian rhythms. The phone bookended every single day, framing human consciousness in a continuous stream of external input. Mornings became reactive instead of reflective. Perhaps the deepest change, however, was internal. The smartphone created a new kind of self-consciousness. We began to experience our own lives as potential content. Meals were photographed before eating. Workouts were tracked and shared. Thoughts were drafted as posts. The inner life became externalized, curated, and performed. Authenticity became harder to distinguish from presentation. Even solitude was invaded, because the phone meant you were never truly alone with your own thoughts. This rewiring happened so fast that society is still catching up. The old rules of polite society assumed physical presence and shared space. The new rules are still being written, often by the technology itself, rather than by the people using it. But the most important thing to understand is that this was not inevitable. The problem is not the device. The problem is the relationship that was built around it, a relationship designed by trillion-dollar companies that profit from engagement at any cost. The notification is not a neutral feature. It is a demand for attention, engineered to be irresistible. The infinite scroll is not a convenience. It is a psychological trap. You are not the customer of these platforms. You are the raw material, and your attention is the product being sold. Recognizing this is the first step toward reclaiming your agency. The second step is action. It means creating phone-free zones and phone-free times. It means turning off non-essential notifications and letting your mind experience the forgotten luxury of boredom again. It means choosing to look at the world directly instead of through a glowing rectangle. It means actively rebuilding the skills of presence, patience, and deep attention that the smartphone eroded. The decade of rewiring was powerful, but it does not have to be permanent. Humanity adapted to the smartphone, and humanity can adapt again. The device that fragmented our attention can also be used to focus it. The tool that isolated us can also be used to gather us. The difference is intention. The difference is whether the phone serves you or you serve it. There was a moment when everything changed. There can be another moment when things change back. Not back to the past, but forward to something better. A world where technology amplifies human connection instead of replacing it. Where the smartphone is a tool in your hand, not a rewiring of your mind. That moment starts with a single choice. Put the phone down, look up, and see what you have been missing.